We're good to go?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. As part of our series of webinars titled Indulge Time Pass, we are pleased to bring acclaimed filmmaker Gautham Menon to you for the session titled Filmmaking in the Time of Lockdown. Of course, Gautham Menon as a brand is popular across the country, not just in the South. He's known for popularizing the urban romance genre and many other aspects of filmmaking, including personally reinventing how songs are shot in cinema. And this is something that has been corroborated by a lot of important filmmakers, including Vetti Moran. His Varanamayiram, of course, won a national award. So did his production, Thangameengal. Gautham, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sudhir. Hello, Kaveree.
Hi, my name is Sudhir Srinivasan. I am the entertainment editor of the New Indian Express, and we have with us Kaveree. Kaveree, if you want to take over.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Gautham. It's such a pleasure. And thank you, Sudhir. As I told you, I'm a great fan of Cinema Express, especially the misrepresentation column. And Gautham, your work, of course, is so well known, and I absolutely adore it. But what I think we really want to start off with is the short that is created quite a buzz, the short film that you made during the lockdown. And it's sort of divided a lot of people as well. I think especially because of the Jessie character that Trisha plays. So talk a little about the reaction to it and the whole process of shooting it as well, during this period.
So I've been writing some stuff, generally looking at feature film scripts, and I was trying to work on a couple of ideas. And then somewhere a conversation with Simbu and the producer, of course, and I started writing an idea which ended up becoming a sequel to Untitled Chapter, a film with Simbu and Karthik.
Yeah.
And then it was going well. I liked the writing. And at some point I thought I'll put a stop to that and see if I can put together a series of conversations between two people. So I want to film something. It's not that I wanted to do something, I'm sitting jobless at home and stuff like that, but I was passionate about filming something. I thought, let's just put together something now, because nothing was coming out anyway.
Right.
And so I thought, why not write a series of conversations between two people? So I picked a couple of characters from my own films, and I wrote conversations between them. I wrote an interrogation between a cop and a gangster, a phone call between a cop and a gangster, and a phone call between a father and a daughter and stuff like that. And then I thought I have to ask a few actors to, come on board and help me film this and stuff. And I wasn't sure whether they'd be readily willing to come on board so easily for a shot. And then I thought Simbu, if I ask him, for anything, he'll say yes. So I pulled out the scene from the sequel of Vinetandi Varuvaya, and I called Trisha, I called Simbu.
Right.
And I said, let's just shoot this. And they loved it. And we discussed the pros and cons of, the writing, what Jessie says and what Karthik says. And Simbu did mention, like I've been saying over a couple of days, that this will get talked about. There'll be a meme of me sitting on Trisha's lap. So I said, yeah, let's just go with it. I mean, this is edgy to a large extent. Let's push the envelope a bit is what I thought, and we shot it. It was very difficult to film it during the lockdown because we shot it remote. I was in my place. I directed Trisha and Simbu sitting in my house and telling them what to do, checking the frames and getting frames recorded and sent to me and then sending it back to them and stuff.
Right.
And then once we edited it again over Skype, I sent it to Rahman sir and he said, yes, I'll do this. So the rest, as they say, is, I don't know, history.
Is meme history. Sudhir, you want to jump in here?
Yes. So Gautham has mentioned that he's been writing conversation between some of his very popular characters, including Satyadev and Victor from Yenna Arinda, and quite a few of the other characters as well. Now I keep hearing that while these times should logically let people write a lot more, because everybody is stuck indoors and the internet is working and the electricity, and not for everybody, of course, the privileged people. But to borrow a couple of lines from a song in Varanamayiram, a lot of people seem to be complaining that Padutha Thookamu illa en kanavula tholla. Now, have you had any such issues, or has productivity not been a problem for you?
No, I think everybody went through that. I mean, you could just analyze this and find out that I think everybody went through that. Some days were great, some days were blah, which is what I've been actually saying, you know. And some of the writing that you look at the next day was horrendous. You know, you're wondering what you were writing. So this was what I thought I liked a lot, which is why I decided to put out. But largely, yes, Sudhir, it was not. I think when we work under a lot of stress and pressure, deadlines, and you know we have to meet this and meet that, then the writing actually is good, you know. But when there's no horizon in sight, and then you just sit back and you're wondering and you're writing, I don't think the writing is really great. It was not easy to churn out stuff. So the easier thing to do was to pull out characters that I'm familiar with, you know, like Satyadev and Victor, like you said, and probably Anbuchelim and somebody else, and just sort of you know their mind, you think you know their personality and stuff, so you start writing based on what they would say, which is how Karthik and Jesse, you know, ended up.
Gautham, as an additional question to this, you spoke about how the practicality of making a film sort of got you doing Karthik Dial Seitha Yenn because Simbu and Trisha would be readily available, of course. Keeping aside this practicality and whether other actors would have immediately agreed to feature in any of these other films you've written, the shorts, of course, what other ideas were you particularly excited by?
Well, I think the conversation between Satyadev and Victor, somewhere in between the film that you saw, turned out to be really edgy and nice. But then I wasn't sure if I can even, you know, call up the actors and ask them. You know, I didn't want them to think that I'm making use of the situation. And I don't know what, you know, I don't know how people will generally think. Then I decided, okay, maybe let me, you know, just act in it. Then I thought that'd be, you know, too much again. So, which is why it seemed sort of nice to just ask Simbu, and he readily jumped at it, you know, and Tisha, of course, she just read it and she said, I love it. So let's just go ahead. But otherwise, interesting stuff, maybe not to film immediately. There's a lot of other stuff that's going on in terms of writing. And I'm hoping once everything settles down, I'd be able to sort of jump in and just film that very soon.
I'd love to see a series of shorts with these conversations, you know. So I think let's just put out there that there's public demand for all these actors to come together and shoot it for you, no matter what. Because it's a fantastic idea, isn't it? At a time when, you know, we really are in need of talking to each other. You know, we're also feeling so lonely and cut off from each other. The idea of conversations between, you know, some classic, iconic characters is a brilliant idea, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm actually I'm actually putting out all the stuff that I wrote on, but that's okay. We also had there was a nice 10-minute on a bunch of classmates just connecting over a Zoom call or, you know, video conference, and everybody bringing in their own, not too much talk about COVID and, you know, what we're going to face and all that, nothing bleak or anything, but just you know, sort of what are we looking forward to, and within, you know, the conversation, their personalities and characters come through, and you realize who these guys are and all this. So that's also there. I'm saying if there is an extension, and that's generally the word that we're hearing, I think I might just film this next, and it's easy to put together a bunch of young guys. You know, I don't think they'll have a problem with that.
So great. So let's put it out there. Can they all just agree to be part of this series of films? Yeah. So
yes.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, guys put the work and look more interesting.
So we'll get a hashtag started right away. No, I mean, Kaveree, you spoke about conversations and how, you know, at this time, especially when we're trying to regain human connections, they're particularly important. Now, I want to ask Gautham Menon this. He's always emphasized the importance of a family setup. And some of his films, many of his films have contained, as he has admitted, autobiographical elements from his own life. And right now, at this time, many people have spoken out about, you know, how the lockdown has forced them to come to grips with the realization of how important the family is, and, you know, how they're getting back in touch with a lot of the people that they've taken for granted. What about you, Gautham? Has there been any personal revelation for you? Even for Gautham Menon, who's always spoken about the importance of a family.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a sort of a homing bird. I don't shoot on Sundays. I try and spend a lot of time at home. I participate in a lot of stuff at home. I'm not the male in the house, you know, sitting separately. I'm sorry to say it, but yes. But this was sort of even beyond all this was a revelation, because it's 24 hours being at home. And strangely, you realize that there's so much more you can do at home. There's so much more bonding. There's so much more spending time And I think I've got to understood the boys. I have 3 boys a lot more over this 1.5 months, and somewhere I know it might sound a little bit strange, but I'm thankful that this actually happened. And even before, there was this, rat race, so to speak. Everything was time bound, and we have to do this next week. We have to do that in 10 days. The dates are going, and all very related to my work, I'm saying. And then suddenly you put a stop to all that, and nothing matters. All that rush and that adrenaline that was pumping towards something, all that didn't matter. You had to step back, and you had to sit quietly and wait for things to open up. So it's just a revelation that anything can happen, and are you ready for it, sort of, and that's a huge learning that I took away from, and the people who were after me doggedly all just stepped back and said, yes, you're always right. You were not pushing for many things, and good you didn't push, because we realized it would never have happened, So in that way, it's been a huge learning for me and for a lot of people around me.
Gautham, how old are your boys? You have 3 of them. How do you manage them?
Well, it's almost a cricket team at home, so fun.
How old are they?
Because they're all cricketers. They're very young, 17, 13, and 11.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes,
so they play cricket?
Extensively, yes. And even during the lockdown, they managed to figure out ways to train. And you see a sock hanging with the ball inside, and they wet the tennis balls and they're chucking it at each other, and all sorts of fun. So I participate now and then, but yeah.
What fun. But Gautham, I just wanted to put a question to you. You have, you abandon projects, take them up, you've gone to Mumbai movies, Bollywood as it's called, seen how it works, not always been very happy. What has that experience taught you? Because you don't seem to be pursuing things relentlessly. I mean, you talked about how people backed off as well during this time, but you yourself know when to back off. You know when to draw the line and say, okay, I can do this much, but I can't do more than this. That's very unusual, isn't it?
So everything is on a whim and an impulse, if you ask me. There's never a plan. There's no project that's come to me saying, this is the design, can you get into it? Other than probably Queen, which I love directing.
Right.
It came to me, the script was there, the content was put out by Reshma, and I loved it, so I got into it. Right. But otherwise, every feature film of mine is something that I've sat to write with no idea of where the script is going or what I'm going to write on day one.
Right.
Or what the first words are that are going to appear on my laptop or my iPad or wherever.
Right.
So everything is on a, just take it forward as it comes sort of a thing. So there was one film which, I shot for 25 days very honestly with a bunch of youngsters. But then they were all not really, what's the word? They were not adept. They were not like good at it. And they were struggling, and they were not able to find my rhythm, and I was not able to find their rhythm. And it had Rahman sir doing the music. And I just decided I'm not going to shoot this anymore.
Yeah, I believe you decided you won't do it anymore.
Yes, because I knew it's not going to work at this rate. Right. I'll have to reshoot a lot of stuff. Right. So I just, the only one person I had to apologize to was Rahman sir. And I said, sir, some other time this will happen. And instead of that, I pitched Vinay Thandi to him. And that's the film with Karthik and Jesse that, became a musical blockbuster.
Right.
So that's why, Kaveree, I just take it as it comes. My filming is also like that. Everything is experimental.
Yeah.
I believe every work is experiment. There's no discussion as such with 10 people figuring out, is this line okay? I'm just saying, for example, if I had checked the script of Karthik and Jesse with you, you would have probably called me and said, don't get too indulgent. Maybe Karthik should just say, I need you, and leave it at that.
Right.
You might have told me that. And I might have said, yes, okay, Kaveree, you're making sense. But I didn't, right? I think it's an experiment. I want people to talk about it, thrash it, or tell me they liked it. So that's how life has worked. From love to everything else has been like that. So,
right.
Yeah. Right. But even in terms of the boundaries of experiment, directing 2 actors from the confines of your home would have been quite something for you when you set out to make this film. Now, I want to ask you this. Now, did you think of this as an experiment as well, or did you have a process well mapped where you were reasonably assured that this was the output that you were going to get? Or did you just wing it?
I'm never that, Sudhir. I'm never sure of what I'm going to get. I'm very confident when I see the frame, and then when I see the actors performing. There's never a, if I feel there should be like a one more take, it'll tell me. Otherwise, if I get something, I'm good, I move out from there. So It was challenging because, I was telling them what to do over an online conferencing thing. And then it took much longer than ideally we would have filmed this in 3 hours, at each of the actors' place. But it took like the whole day. So like you said, it was challenging. Again, a learning. And would I do it again? Yeah, I would do it again.
But Gautham, I wanted to take you back a little to Queen, because that was something, to shoot a show is quite a different experience from shooting even, say, Surya over 2 years on that film that you did with him.
Yes. Yes.
How was that experience? Was it more structured, and also did you have to be careful? After all, it is a biopic, and it is the great or not so great, depending on how you look at it, Jayalalitha. So was that a difficult proposition for someone who's so instinctive as you are?
Well, we just had to be a little careful now and then about who we were filming about. Yes, you're right. More in terms of the legal issues around the show than anything else.
Right.
But otherwise, it was very liberating work, Kaveree. It was absolutely liberating because I've said this before, in a 2.5 hour film, your short division is structured to sort of keep the audience glued, or your shots, even if it's an emotional sequence or an action, you're always thinking, okay, I must get this shot in with a duration of so much because, I have to fit in other stuff. But with Queen, it was very liberating in that sense. Every shot was designed the way that emotion needed to be conveyed. And that was beautiful. And I think I was one of the first filmmakers from here to move into that space.
Yeah.
With a lot of people asking me, oh, why are you doing this? I mean, are you out of films and stuff like that? So that's still, I'm still getting that, but whatever it is, you shouldn't have done, owning web poitingla and all that stuff. Because they think, you run out of work, so you go there. But it's not that. I was working with some of the best actors. I had all the best technicians working.
Yeah.
Like a feature film, and even more because there were lots more people around.
Right.
And it was very liberating work. And I really wish some of the A-list directors would, explore this. I think it's a great medium for alternative filmmakers. There is something there for you to exhibit your wares apart from just the theaters and the feature film area, where you have to convince a star or an actor to actually like your script. And that's not easy at all. And we're all writing, I had a discussion with Sudhir also, we're writing only for the actors.
Yeah.
We're writing for the stars to be, groomed a certain way and looked upon a certain way. And the hero tells you, I don't like this, can we do that? It's because he knows that if he says something, the audience will like it. So we are always changing stuff for the heroes. Here it was not that. It was great content that Reshma put out and we loved it. And I had I was good. I was fair enough to bring in another director and discuss work with two directors all the time, talking and figuring out what we can do, each other sort of thing. So it was nice work.
No, I mean, I'm absolutely glad that you did it, because I remember what I wrote about the series as well, that it was among the rare good Tamil web series in that space. And today, more than ever, we are having to write a lot about the content that's out there on the web. And it would be a relief to see some good stuff out there as well.
Yes. Yeah, but in a way, Sudhir, Gautham is also a forerunner for what is happening now, because there's this whole issue, do these made-for-theatre movies, should they go straight to streaming? What will happen to theatres? After all, the theatrical experience cannot be replaced with the streaming experience. How do you feel about that, Gautham, especially that, we don't seem to know exactly when theatres are going to open, even in the South, where I believe it will be quicker than in the North. What are you hearing?
Nothing like that. But I'm hoping for a big event film to come in where people will just thrown to theatres. Right. And I think general word is closer to Deepavali time is when things will really open up.
Right.
And there will be a couple of big films that will, people will be fed up of watching stuff at home and they'll come to a theatre. This general theory. And I'm also a complete theatre bird. I love to watch films in the theatres, and I'm with that experience. But I'm also throwing the other idea at you. Like, all the big theatres are not going to really easily release a small film when there are other big films around, right?
Exactly.
So I think it's completely the producer's prerogative, and nobody should say, we're going to ban you or not put your films out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The producer is the first guy who's actually put in the money or taken liability on himself, and so he has to decide whether this film is suitable for theatres or whether an OTT can be, good enough for his film to release, a platform like that, I'm saying.
Right.
So let's just be open about it is all I'm saying. Let's not ban people or ban producers because they're not conducive.
Gautham, I wanna ask you a hypothetical question here. Assuming theaters are never going to be open,
Oh no.
if it's only going to be a TV only world, as a filmmaker, do you think you'll be fine?
I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Hypothetical world, yes. I'll be fine because I've already ventured into it. I am making something right now. I've done a short for Netflix with four directors coming together. And I love that. It's very liberating work in that sense. And there are stories and these are not stories that have sexual content or are explicit or anything like that. These are meant for home viewing and they'll be lovely to, film and put out there, I thought. So I'm very happy to be in that space.
Now,
sorry.
I'm sorry, Kaveree. Just as an additional question to that idea, I want to get a bit nostalgic here because as Kaveree mentioned, and as you hinted at, I'm a big sucker for the theatrical experience as well. And this is, I noticed that it's been a time when people are questioning the very utility of a theater. When people are getting used to their experience in the TV and really wondering, okay, do we really need to go there? Now, I want to ask you, I want to have you talk about your favorite theatrical experiences and what have you missed by not going to a theater. You can feel free to tap into the experiences you had before you were a filmmaker as well.
No, for me, the best and first and what I remember till today is the film that actually made me into a filmmaker, that made me want to make films, images that came alive. And I started thinking, where's the camera? Why is there a set? How is the actor performed? And that was Nayagan. And watching Nayagan in the theater was something else for me. And I remember the crowds and the way they reacted to everything that was on screen, it was a huge theatrical experience for me. And since then, I decided that every film should be watched. The second time around, the same film was watched at home on a VCR, and I didn't feel that. I was just looking at the shots again. And I kept telling my parents, even at 15, that this film you guys should watch in the theaters. Mama, don't watch it here on the small screen, because they've got a VHS to watch it on a VCR and all that stuff. So I remember driving them as in telling them to go to the theaters to watch the film. So that set off a huge experience for me, and I missed that. There's always in the middle of a lot of work, checking on what's playing, trying to get a ticket, and then obviously on the first day, first show of every big film, you've been to the theaters, Kasi, Rohini, and all those kind of shows also. So I really missed that. We were joking about it, even there's a directors group that we are in, and we were joking, saying, there's nothing playing, in the theaters. You just have to go back to watching some classics. So actually, believe it or not, some of us realized that Maunaragam is playing on television that night, and a few of us actually discussed Maunaragam, watching it from the confines of our individual respective homes, and we discussed the film, across like that. So we're ending up doing all sorts of things because we missed the theater.
And you referenced that in your short as well. So iconic film, isn't it?
Yeah, there's always a Manisa reference in my film.
Yeah, I think
there is always a reference.
I also wanted to ask you, that 15-year-old who told his parents about Nayagan and he still went on to study engineering. What were you thinking?
I know, Kaveree, seriously. I didn't have the guts to tell my mom and dad, who were like the most absolutely, wonderful people who would just say anything to what I asked them for at that time. Yeah. Somewhere there was this conversation, my cousins, everybody was into engineering. There was somebody doing really well and all that. So, you hear your mom talking, so you think, okay, that's what they want.
Right.
So I just went into engineering it was a very automatic decision to make. And I studied in one godforsaken college in one remote town down in Trichy. But that whole experience was beautiful. The people, the guys I met, the books I read, I still remember, and my whole knowledge of Tamil and literature and the film appreciation itself evolved in an engineering college. Right. When I came out, it's when I had the guts to tell my mom, mainly, and dad, that I want to be a filmmaker. And they immediately said, okay, yes, but how are we going to go about it? Do you know how to go? I said, yes. And strangely, it was my mom who actually paved the way for me by saying there is a filmmaker called Rajiv Menon, and I've managed to get in touch with his aunt. So you just call her and go meet her, So then I got in like that.
And in any case, Kaveree, these days, engineering is looked at as something you do while you're figuring out what to do.
Sudhir, that makes me suspect you studied engineering too. But
thankfully, I didn't have the same thing. Anyway.
But really, Gautham, just to get back, just that one point you made about actors and how sometimes you have to tailor stories, tailor characters to suit them. Yeah. You've worked with some remarkable actors, even not worked with them, say like Amitabh Bachchan or Shah Rukh Khan, whom I think you pitched ideas to, and you worked towards something that didn't necessarily come to fruition. But say Kamal Hassan, what is it like working with these giants of cinema? Do they always, are they very, very conscious of their star image? Do they not want you to tamper with that at all? Or are they more flexible, or is it more individualistic?
I think strangely, and pardon me for using the word, but with Kamal sir, I had a lovely time because he was not too bothered about what the script was at that stage.
Right.
He wanted me to direct something else.
Right.
Not something else. He'd want me to direct Dasavadaram. But for me, the idea of one actor playing so many roles and filming that with the whole technical process seemed to go over my head. I'm not. I'm not saying I'm not a whiz kid with this kind of stuff, but it's just that for me, it doesn't augur well. Like to get Surya to act in 2 roles in my film itself was bothering me.
Right.
So I didn't want to be directing one actor in 10 roles, and I knew I wouldn't do a great job at the technical side of it. So I pitched this police story idea to him, and then by which time he just said, "Whatever you have, let's just shoot." But so he didn't get involved in the script. He didn't say, "I want changes made" or anything like that. It was the most easiest process, and thankfully, and all that. But once he comes on to your sets, and when he performs for you, the scene that you narrate to him, you can never write that down. You can never write, this is what he will do.
Right.
You can write as the character saying, yes, he'll walk in here, he'll pick this up and all that. But what he does within those frames is really magical. And I'm not just a big fan, but I learned a lot from the actor Kamal Hassan, that you could do so much more with what content, is put out there for you. So it was a great experience in that sense. But with everybody else, all the bigger stars, there's always a, will they like it? And then when you're narrating to them, can this be changed or can that be enhanced a bit?
Right.
And you realize it's only because they want their portions to be a certain way. It's not generally about the largeness of the script. It's always about what they want within those parameters. So you're always writing or pandering to their whims and fancies is what I think it is.
Just one quick additional question. From what I gather, Simbu is a very difficult star to work with. You seem to have done okay with him.
I do really okay with him. He's not difficult at all. See, there is this general, will he turn up for shoot sort of thing, but was never an issue with me. I think once he likes you, and then once he knows there is this vibe going, he's out there. And he's such a brilliant performer also.
Yeah,
he makes it so easy.
Right.
He gives you exactly what you want, and even more, and very easily too. So,
Gautham, I want to now try and bring us back to the topic of this session because it's about the lockdown and whatever. Now, I understand that quite a few of these writers are talking about, and filmmakers as well, are talking about the problem of accommodating the lockdown and the coronavirus problem into their stories, into their scripts. I understand that titles are being registered in a hurry with the word corona in them. Now, was there a temptation for you to try and see if you could make a feature film idea centered on this problem? And I have an additional question once you answer this.
No, I'm already thinking, Sudhir, when you're writing, there is this before corona phase and then maybe after lockdown,
Yeah.
So how do you set your script? I mean, even as I'm in the middle of some scripts, or maybe even I have the last 10 days of Joshua to be filmed, I was thinking, should I bring in the scenario that, everything is quiet and there's nobody on the streets and set an action sequence in the middle? But then it's going to be very difficult to clear people off the roads.
Yeah.
You're also thinking as a filmmaker, practically it's going to be possible. So I thought, no, might as well go back to, the earlier version where it was before the lockdown and stuff like that. So I think very practically like that, thinking it's going to be a lot of money and expense to clear people off the streets, get roads empty during the day. And otherwise you got to put up a set of a road, or you got to go somewhere where there is a road to shoot and all that. So I'd rather stick to, something being practically possible than putting out a lot of money to shoot something that looks impossible right now. Yeah.
So the additional question I wanted to ask you was, of all the feature films that you've made so far, which one do you think would be least affected if you were to incorporate the idea of a lockdown? Or let's say, which one do you think can be adapted into such a set?
Very interesting question.
Yeah.
I think only Vinaytan, I think, because it's completely between two people, right? There are no external characters and stuff like that, and they could have always sneaked into each of the houses, met on the terrace and everywhere amidst the lockdown and stuff. So I think only Vinaytan.
I think the only problem there would be that we won't be able to see the Aram song play out.
Yeah, but I'm saying amidst that, this guy would have managed to still go to Kerala and I would have filmed that. I would have filmed somebody going in lorries and trucks and hiding in, whatever possible to get to Kerala. And then all he needs is to swim across the backwaters and jump over the wall into her house. So that would have been interesting.
Gautham, this brings me to something very interesting. You talked about this whole idea of lorries and trucks. You in a sense are a migrant to Chennai as well. I mean, your mother, I think, is Tamil and your father is from Kerala, right? And
Yes.
in a sense, Chennai is the city that you've chosen to be in. So when we talk of migrants, when we talk of the migrant laborers, I mean, we're all migrants, aren't we? In whichever city, very few of us are actually from the city where we are living. So when you hear the word migrants, what does it actually bring to, what is the image that you get in your mind these days?
Well, to specifically answer you, I was born here. My dad is Malayali, mom is Tamil. They also studied here. They met.
Okay.
And I was born here and we lived here all our lives and all
Right.
that. But the word migrant bothers me, actually.
Yeah.
It bothers me to even put somebody under a category that they're not from any place. I believe
Exactly.
There are no, I would like to believe that there are no borders. I mean, I'm going to sound very philosophical here, but I would like to believe that everybody belongs to any place that they are sort of working in and earning their bread and butter,
right,
and breathing that air of that place.
Yeah.
So the word migrant largely bothers me. But the fact that people are trying to get back to their homes and they're not really cared for, and not too many provisions are made for them bothers me. The accidents that have happened with people just traveling,
yeah,
all that bothers me a lot. And that's it. It just bothers me, like the word does.
Gautham, I have a quick question that's coming from one of our viewers. When will your anthology with Vetti Moran release on Netflix? Someone who's very keen to see it.
So we've all finished. I think we've all finished production and post-production on the film. We're submitting our films right now. So I think they've all looked at the films and they've liked it and all that. So I think it's just their packaging and putting the films together, and that's pending. So maybe in a month. I think maybe in a month's time.
Sorry.
Sorry, Kaveree. Now, while I read a couple of stories about how the future of filmmaking will be impacted by the situation. Among that, I read one very interesting story about how we should expect to see a lot of contained sort of scripts being made into feature films.
Yeah.
Because people won't have too much money to likely dispense with in filmmaking. And given the experiences that people have had at this time, it was suggested that we should expect to see stories that are contained in terms of location, in terms of budget, in terms of an idea that would demand very little. As a producer, do you think that there is merit in this school of thought? Do you expect to see an explosion of such ideas? Is that something you're looking for?
I thought there'll be an explosion of medical thrillers that will come around, is what I really thought, and conspiracy theories about the whole virus and everything like that. That's intelligent filmmaking is what I think. Script writing and all that is what I think will come a lot more. But it'll be trying to work with restricted crews is what I think everybody's looking at.
Yeah.
And maybe the unions will not fancy that right now, but that was always, something that needed to be done. And I think this will bring about that to a large extent. But otherwise, in terms of writing, it's like they're suggesting, I read some article about some shoot in Germany and all that, where they were suggesting, two people standing at a distance and the lensing making it look like they're close to each other and all that.
Yeah.
One-off scripts like that is possible. We're also writing for a platform. 5-6 filmmakers have come together to make a film that's about hope and stuff like that. And everybody is writing within confined spaces, 2 people, 3 people and all that. But I think that will change very soon. Once everything opens up, I think that will change. We'll go back to our regular flying around and mass film.
Oh yeah, masked superheroes have no problems. They can wear a plethora of masks now. But Gautham, when I see Reina Hai Tere Dil Mein on television now, and you see the sort of cult status it has acquired now, you think what happened when it released in 2001? Where were all these viewers who ooh and ah about the film now?
Well, I think generally with all my films, I mean, I will talk about Rehna Tere Dil Mein separately. Generally with all my films, there is very mixed reactions initially, which I always believe is good. And then either it settles down into being really good little later, like 3-4 days later or a week later, or it just peters out into, being, okay, it didn't work at all. My last film with Dhanush didn't work at all, actually, in that sense. There were lots of mixed talk initially, and then it just, faded out like that. With Rehna Tere Dil Mein, again, it connects with an earlier answer of mine where it was completely Madhavan's call, saying, let's go do this film in Hindi and Vashuji will take care of us. And I said, Maddie, I have no clue. Let's go into another Tamil film. I actually pitched the story of Kaka Kaka to Maddie at that time itself. But Madhavan said, no, Gautham, Vashuji is a very big producer and he'll take us to this film. And people are excited about this and all that stuff. So I went completely under sort of Maddie's, wings. And I just let him. Yes, I directed the film and, there was a vision and all that stuff. But Maddie sort of oversaw, everything in that sense. And, of course, Vashuji was sitting on top of all of us and figuring out. We shot for Mumbai in Durban. He said that's the only way to get Saif Ali Khan to come to our sets and all that. So I don't know if I should be saying all this. With Kaveree around, it's going
to move to Durban, to go to Durban, you have to get Saif Ali Khan. Hilarious.
Yeah, he said he'll be with us, constantly if we shoot in a place outside. So he shifted. So I had to figure out how to make Durban look like Bombay in many scenes in that film. But we had a great time. There was Dia, there was Maddie, there was me. And of course, the music of Harris, which became really popular later and all that. No idea what happened when the film released. I mean, it was Vashuji's production. The previous film had done really well, with Tushar Kapoor and Kareena. Had done really well just 5-6 months before our film. So we all thought, he'd take care of, marketing and the film would be big and all. But it opened big and just, faded out in about 3 to 4 days, I think. And the reviews were not very pleasant either. But then since then, I have no idea why people, not why, but, it's surprising to see that this film really people talk about and they recognize, the songs and the moments of the film and all that.
And they love it.
Strange to me.
Yeah. I'm glad you resisted the temptation of redoing it with Jackie, right? Thank God. Were you asked to redo it with Jackie? Vashu's son?
The frame here is frozen, Kaveree. I'm not saying anything right now.
I said, I believe, okay, so you're just putting me off. I understand that. Okay, Sudhir, over to you.
Yes, Gautham, I want to explore this thought that you just shared while you were answering that question. You spoke about how your films have always come out to mixed responses, even the ones that went on to be loved. It must have been very tempting, obviously, over the years to sit and wonder why this is. I mean, what about my film sort of garners? I mean, this has happened to your latest shot as well. Do you suppose it has anything to do with some of the ideas of the film challenging people, the status quo or people's mindsets? Or why do you suppose this is?
Yeah, I don't want to analyze it ever, because I think I just stopped writing. I'm actually, a couple of times, I did look for other writers to see if I can just, pick up content and direct it, because I know I'll really do a good job with that. And Queen was a really, wonderful experience in that sense. It sort of gave me a lot of confidence that I could direct somebody else's work. But I think even with Karthik Dial Seitha Yenn, there are moments that might not augur well with people, I think, looking at it in retrospect. But I thought it was edgy always, it was meant to be that. And the character is in me. I know that this is how Karthik will behave. I remember reading a review of Kaveree's Manmarzia. If I directed Manmarzia here, they'd be outside my house, major protests. I think you'd said love is complicated, it's unexpected, you can't put it into boxes, something like that, So that's what it was. I don't want to define anything under romantic love. Anybody's free to whatever they want. I'm not saying everybody should call their exes and talk to them and stuff like that. But these two are in that space. They can talk to each other like that. And that's all it was. So why is it looked upon?
I suppose part of the reason why, maybe because people have a lot of love for these characters. Right? It almost feels to a lot of people like they own these characters, if you know what I mean, because of the love that Vinay Thandivarwaya got. And Karthik and Jesse.
Yeah, even then, I've not thrown mud on their faces at all. Karthik will behave like that. Kanne Tadumari Nadandem is what the song lyrics are. Noolilladu Marayagi Pone, that's how he is. He can never be, he'll be on the line. He's that droplet of water that hangs on that thread, and stays onto that string. He'll always be there. So his conversation is going to be like that. And in 10 years, he's not spoken to her like that. In 10 years, there's been regular exchanges. Hi, hello, how are the kids and stuff like that. In 10 years, the first time he just thought, let me indulge and, that. And also the other thing, Sudhir, I know from 60 lakh, 70 lakh views and still counting for a 12-minute short film, which is unheard of, I think. There are more than 40,000, 50,000 likes. From that, I'm okay with 100 people dissing it. And it doesn't matter. It's negligible in that sense. Science will tell you that it's negligible. Yeah. But these 100 will matter to the press and to the media, and that's what they'll put out. And it's like a dialogue from my own film. 28 encounter, adala one failure, adapati mattum dhaan pesuvanga. So, yeah.
Right. And to add to the couple of lines you sang from Mannipaya was that song, right?
Yes.
Unnaldan Kalenya Naanene, in a sense, also summarizes what happens in this film.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sudhir, we have a couple of questions. One is from G. Maheshwaran. When will Dhruva Natcharitam release?
Okay, so that's the big event film that I was telling you about. It's with Vikram. Okay. It's with Vikram. It's a spy thriller and a really ensemble cast with a lot of big actors, Simran, Radhika, Parthiban, and the young Ritu from Peli Chuplu, in Telugu and all that.
Yeah.
And we're at the fag end of production. So Vikram is coming to dub shortly. And once he dubs, we will see if we can immediately once theaters open up. And I think this will bring back, apart from all the other big films out there, this will also bring crowds to theater, I think. So,
right. Yeah. And we have another question from Uday. Ask GVM about how he liked the role he played in Kannum Kannum Kolayadittal with Dulquer. Oh, Dulquer is one of my favorites.
Okay. Yeah, see, again, it was the crew and the unit that made me feel very comfortable, and I was looking for that. I'm not really looking to act in every film that comes my way. I backed out of a couple of films after filming also because it just didn't work for me. But here, the crew, along with Dulquer, made me feel really comfortable. They gave me the lines much in advance. I knew what I was doing. And there's a little twist at the end of the film with me, as the mainstay of whatever was happening and all that. And they were very hesitant to tell me that. But when they told me, I loved it. And I said, this is what makes a difference in this film. And actually, the film worked to a large extent because of that little twist at the end.
Right.
A young team, and I loved it. Likewise with Anwar Rashid's Trance. I wanted to be in that unit just to figure out, look at them work. It was a learning for me because it was masterclass all around. Everything was so planned and proper. And Fahad was, I don't know if you've seen some of Fahad's work.
Yeah, brilliant. He's brilliant.
And it was learning to just watch him get into that zone 15 minutes before the shot, and everybody else would get into the discipline, And I thought I must tell my actors also, to follow this. And he plays with his eyes so much. So it was all under the umbrella of learning, and I don't mind that anytime.
And Kaveree, between you and me, right after I came out of Kannum Kannum Kolayadittal, the first call I made was to Gautham.
Okay.
To tell him that that last scene sort of redefines the entire film, and I was very happy that he took that role sportingly, and I was a bit surprised also that he accepted parodying one of his very famous scenes from Inithandi.
We have two more questions. Sorry, Sudhir. Lots of people are very keen to ask Gautham.
I understand.
Gautham, sir, thank you for shaping my perceptions on life, women, and romance through your films. How do you pick short films to feature on your channel on YouTube, Salman?
So we get a lot of people who manage to get my number, or they even message directly on the YouTube channel called Undraga, which we manage.
Right.
So people can send their links, and there is a team that sort of watches these short films, and we have put out a lot of short films other people have done and that we haven't produced. So the more the merrier. Please, you're welcome to send your links to us and we watch it.
And Bala Jairam wants to know, how do you see the film industry changing after COVID? You've answered that in a bit, but perhaps you could just sort of,
I just think it'll just come back to normalcy very soon. As soon as everything opens up, people are just raring to go back. And I think there'll be big crowds in the theaters. And at the same time, web series, OTTs, the platforms will coexist, and it'll be a nice alternative platform for filmmakers to exhibit their wares, like I keep saying.
Gautam, may I just ask one question more, Sudhir? You know, when you see some of these guys like Dulquer, Fahad, who for you are the new, young, interesting people who are really going to redefine the way cinema is made, not just, as it's called regional cinema, but really cinema, national cinema.
You said the names, and I think you should add Vijay Sethupathi to that list. I think
Right.
Vijay Sethupathi, Dulquer, Fahad, much more than the other two, I think, are the superstars out there, and the next 20 years will belong to them, I feel. I would love to throw Vijay Deverakonda also into the equation and see, what comes up.
What makes them so different, Gautam? What is their sensibility like? Are they risk takers? Are they unafraid? What defines them?
I think Vijay Sethupathi, Fahad Fazil, and Dulquer are all risk takers. I think they are. They don't care so much about their images. They don't doctor films to their needs. They love content and they get into it purely based on the content and the vision of the director. Like, you can't imagine any of our guys doing a film like Tondi Mudalum Drik Sakshim, where Fahad Fazil plays a chain snatcher.
Yeah.
Who swallows the chain and gets holed up in a police station.
Right.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So there's no worry about image or, what will the audience perceive me to be and all that stuff. And I think even Vijay Sethupathi falls into that bracket very easily. He plays a older man. He plays a younger guy. There's gray hair. He's flaunting. He's portly. He's not really toned or anything like that. He doesn't give a damn. And that's lovely, to watch. So, and he performs so beautifully and so naturally. You don't even think he was an actor at work. So I think the risk takers largely define them under that category.
Gautam, from observing how people are taking to films by these actors, are you happy with how they're being celebrated presently, or do you think they should?
Sorry, Sudhir, I lost you for a bit there.
Yeah, from observing how people have been responding to work by these actors, are you happy with how they're being celebrated? Do you think they're getting their due as performers, as risk takers?
Okay, but are they getting their due? Maybe there is a lot more that is in store for them, and maybe we ourselves should write interesting content for them. And I hope they pick that also. Like, I'm not saying I should work with them, but I hope they look at a lot of the younger content. That's younger guys who are putting out great content out there. I'm so happy they all did Super Deluxe. I'm saying there was an ensemble cast there.
Yeah.
It was challenging to a large extent. That's all it is. I'm not going to talk much more about that film, but it put something new out there, and hopefully the audience will accept it. If you don't put it out, how do you know? Talking about Super Deluxe, I'm saying there is an opening sequence with Samantha and her ex-lover, and Kumar Raja gets away with it. But when I toe the same line, I don't get away with it to a large extent. So it's very interesting in that sense as to how people look at filmmakers' work.
Right. We have a question from Tharan, expecting you to do a movie with Rajni sir. When will it happen? Oh.
Okay.
This has been a rumor that has been floating every now and then.
Yeah, it's not set up by me, Sudhir. I don't name it, but
no,
but I
it's
wish,
set up by Rajni.
I wasn't implying that.
Not you, by Rajnikant.
No way. So it's always I'm looking forward to it. I've had a couple of opportunities to narrate something to him, but and for a day I thought I was the director of his next film. One whole day he said yes, the producer said yes, and once it was put out and all that, and I started almost putting the word out to family and just sort of started getting into the zone when I heard that it's not going to be, and the next film is going to be Kabali, that Ranjit is going to direct. So I don't know what happened during that day, but I'm hoping there will be another day where that will come true. I'm really hoping.
And we have Uday asking, and apparently 3 people have asked the same question. When is your next movie with Ajit?
So there is a sequel that I have worked out during this lockdown, out of which is one scene that I wanted to shoot with Satyadev and Victor having a conversation with each other.
Right.
It's come out really well. I think at some point I will pitch it to him. There are no problems as such. And if sort of Ajit sir likes it, then I'm sure it will happen.
So that's your headline.
Is this a sequel for NIE that you're looking at?
Yeah, it is. It's
I see.
a sequel to taking the character forward, like by Cop Stories, another episode with no women dying in the film. Yeah.
And Kaveree, no, absolutely not. We will not capitalize on that line for the headline. No.
Gautam, I was just a little disappointed you didn't mention any women in the people to look out for. There's some interesting women as well right now.
Oh yeah, Kaveree. Because I think we especially talked about superstar actors. I thought
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of a lot of people's work.
Like, look at Samantha's work. Isn't it fantastic?
Samantha's brilliant, and it was really brave of her to do, Super Deluxe itself.
Yeah.
I thought it was really, wonderful that she was part of that film and sort of encouraging a filmmaker to sort of put out content like that. And Aishwarya Rajesh is also from here, and she does a lot of good work.
Right.
I'd like to see her on screen. Kirti Suresh is
she's wonderful. Yeah.
In Mahanti, and I had the opportunity of working on a television commercial with her, and she was so easy and so proper in front of the camera. You knew here was an actor that you can relate any story with and take it forward.
Right.
In Malayalam, there's Parvati, whose work is outstanding.
Oh yes, and she is outstanding in every way. I mean, she's such an amazing woman.
Everything is brilliant, and these are women that you can really look up to, and just sit back.
Great. So the last question, then we can.
Oh, absolutely.
Go back to writing and filmmaking.
Right, here we go. Now people are talking about, going on vacations, meeting distant friends. I think everybody has something that they want to do the moment the lockdown is lifted and things return to normalcy. What are one or two or three things that you can't wait to do the moment the lockdown is?
I think a road trip with the family is very essential because we're all just, sort of wanting to break out and travel and stuff like that. Mom is also there with us, so we thought we'd just do a nice road trip somewhere. Go to the theater and watch a film might even top that, actually. Go to theater and watch a big event film with crowds, and where there's no scare of any COVID virus or anything like that.
Right.
Not just with social distancing and not with middle seats not available and all that stuff. These are the two on the top of my list, and probably reconnect with a lot more people and also I'm a very, I'm a very physical person. It's very difficult for me to say this or not reach out and touch a person. So I want to do that in a very wholehearted way. I did shake a few hands yesterday saying, really, I don't care, So I want to do that. I want to be physical again in that sense.
Where are you going to take the road trip to, Gautham? Have you decided?
Well, we had something planned. It was an extensive plan, actually. So we're hoping it will be. So last year we did the Delhi and the Agra thing because Mom wanted to take a look at Taj Mahal again and all that stuff. This time we thought we'll drive up to Goa.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
great. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure. Sudhir, any last words? It's really a privilege to talk to you, Gautham.
It was nice talking to you for the first time, Kaveree, and I was asking Sudhir, oh my God, Kaveree's on the show. Will it be okay for me, to just stream in and stuff? Just be yourself.
I really enjoy your movies. So fabulous stuff.
Thank you. And you made me feel really comfortable. So that's really important. Thank you so much.
And I enjoy these Urayadals and stuff also.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Gautham, for being part of this session.
Thank you.
See you soon in the physical world. Bye.
Yes.
Yes.
Bye.
See you.